Well, welcome to it's actually the second episode of the Prosperity Podcast after me and Candice launched it last week. And today we have Mariel Wilk with us. And Mariel is a very much somebody who helps reprogram your mind and reclaim your power. And I'm always mindful of making sure that when I have the privilege of speaking to somebody like you, that you feel really welcome, Mariel. And I would love to start just by really asking you, what is mindfulness for you? It's something that we hear. It's one of those words that we hear a lot, but what does it mean to you?
Oh my goodness. Such a good question. It's so great to be here. And that's where all my journey actually started was mindfulness. And I was a teacher and like every spare moment I'd be learning and consuming mindfulness articles and emails and podcasts. And that honestly it's like my mind got very full of all the mindful. And it's like you can learn it, but then when do you put it into action and practice? And really, I think mindfulness is the idea of consciousness of presence. I think presence is your power, presence is your guiding light. And when you can master your mind in presence, there's no fear. I say there's always no fear when you're here and you get to be clear. And it's really so simple. I think our minds make things so complicated. But the reality of it is that simplicity, there's the magic in simplicity. And when you're watching a kid in play, for example, I always say, I love people in their presence, power, and play. And that's what a kid's doing, right? And that you would say they're so mindful. And then the word is funny, right? It's like mindful, like I'm full of mind, where actually it's quite the difference of it's if we were to have a play on words, which I'm such a mastery of the way that we use our words in our mind. It's kind of a funny thing, right? Like
Mm,
mindful. It's
mm,
really we would want to say probably mindless.
mm.
Um and just getting here. And if you want to be reminded of that, see a kid in their genius of just being in the moment. And I think, beyond words that will show you it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like our world within personal development has really like swung. So, we've gone from being ignorant to where even our parents don't even know what trauma is per se. It's like, they just got on with it, didn't they? And now we've drawn massive awareness and we're talking a lot about self-awareness, and I talk a lot about self-awareness. Do you ever think that we actually are in danger of becoming too mindful? And if we are someone who is really aware, where we analyze everything, we spot everything, do you feel like there's a danger there of it going too far?
That's a really good question. I think about that often of like where is but at the end of the day, I think today we are so far on the other end that if someone's going like, do we think we're too far on the other? I'm like, I think you're in really good shape. Compared to I walk around this world today and it's not a judgment, but going, what things do we call normal? What things do we call even, this idea, this concept, this word, disorder. I think there's a lot of disorder in the world, and then people, create these disorders of the mind. And it's like we all get to find what our order is. So I guess to answer your question, it's like if someone's like, "Am I being too?" I'm like, I really, I'm kind of, I'm feeling good about where you're going or where you're headed, and then. I always say too, listen inward. You get to decide that for yourself. Like I'm all about, again, people being in their power. You get to any moment that also is being mindful, right? Of stepping and going, is this useful, serving me, and helpful? As
Mm,
someone that really works with the mind and tightening your way of thinking, that's a huge thing that I ask is that, is this useful? Is this serving you? And you can only decide that because anything that we choose for one person can be really serving them, and for someone could not.
mm,
And that's where your power lies, is knowing what's alignment to you, is knowing what is going to be serving you, because what serves you is serving others. And
mm,
you'll know based off of, am I being, again, present right now in my surroundings with people? And, or is there some mind disorder? Or does this feel like mind order in the way that I'm showing up in this moment here now? Checking in, right? How
mm,
present, how patient, how, again, powerful do I feel? How playful do I feel? Tapping into that version of you. I always say it's so good to tap into that 5-year-old version of you because as you brought up, that's where a lot of the trauma began between 0 and 7. Your deeper mind is like a 7-year-old. And so even when you see adults like having a tantrum or moving around the world, one of my favorite activities is to just see everyone like as if they're wearing diapers, walking around the world because they are bringing their subconscious mind with them, which is the things that have been programmed from childhood that
Mm.
they still, if you have not brought it to the surface to unravel, is still playing in your data bank. So it's really powerful stuff.
So within mindfulness, how have you become a master of it? What have you been doing in order for you to be like, I feel like yeah, I have a good understanding of mindfulness and now actually I help people become mindful. How have you mastered that?
Yeah. I always say practice what you preach. I mean, I've done so much training I can't even tell you, and learning and diving, and with really understanding the way that the mind speaks to us and how we relate to it. We say about how like, oh, your mind is your worst enemy, and even just those words itself. If you're walking around thinking that your mind's your worst enemy, do you want to live in that mind? Probably not. And how can we, again, shift even in small ways? Shift the way our narrative is in our mind, and you will see the reality of your mind and you'll see the reality of your world change before your eyes. And I only say that because of the life experience I've had. That mindfulness was touching the surface as I learned that, and to meditate and to, do all the things. But then once I really understood the
Mhm.
language that we speak in there, um, is really, really powerful. That it can be just words that we use. We are such a world, even right now, as we're speaking. And as someone's listening, it's only going so far. And subconscious reprogramming work goes much deeper to that, again, that 5-year-old mind that was figuring out things as a kid and taking in messaging all around it. I say from the systems, right? From family systems, first and foremost, from even school systems, right? From places that you worked, from movies, TV, I always say television, right? The things that we consume and we're watching, television in our mind, the music lyrics that we listen to,
Mhm.
right, matter. We don't realize all the things that we are consuming, not just food, but the information, words, mannerisms that we are taking in 24/7, like the radio station, the frequency of that.
Mm,
Um, it's really, really powerful. And when you see that everything that you're taking in is creating programming in your mind, I invite people to be really mindful of what they're putting in.
mm,
Just like you putting in food, all these things, and the people that you're surrounded by and what they're saying. How are they speaking about the world and themselves too? It's osmosis. I'm not sure if you've ever, noticed, but like you'll be around someone and then next thing you're saying something they say, often. And you're
yep.
just like, wait, I've never said that before. And I'm starting to say it because it's osmosis. You take on the people you're around, the things you're around. And so, yeah, I really, was determined to master this thing, honestly, for myself, but then being able to bring it to family, friends, and now people that I work with, it's just profound the small, small shifts that can occur that then lead to massive, massive changes just by words alone.
Yeah, it reminds me, I'm always fascinated by yawning of how contagious that is. Like when somebody yawns and then you yawn, I'm still fascinated by the science in that. But this is
Yeah.
kind of the sort of same principle, isn't it, of osmosis, of us hearing something and then it triggering and then we represent that word and reflect it back.
Yeah, and it's so funny because yawning is a subconscious, right, response. We're not going body yawn, right? Or body, I saw them yawn, yawn. It's showing again the connectivity of this human experience. Just like nature, I think nature's a beautiful teacher as well, right? It's all working together and flowing together. And yawning, but also about laughter. Laughter is also contagious. And when I'm doing programming work with someone, when I'm seeing, yeah, I mean, I'm seeing yawning. Which is funny because people will be like, sorry. I'm like, no, this is actually, and I get lit up by that. I'm a nerd. I get lit up when I see yawning, laughter. I mean, when I'm working with people, Mark, in real time, I'm seeing shifts in their body. I'm seeing shifts in their face. I'm seeing,
Mm,
and even over time when I work with people, their whole presence, being, posture, again, body, face, like it shifts as you do this work because you are getting more free and clear in the mind. The
mm.
body responds to that. Your being responds to that in more powerful ways. Your health improves. I mean, imagine a computer with the tabs open and we're deleting tabs that have been there for a very long time and it's slowing down the system. I know people are listening are like, oh gosh, they looked at my computer right now and it can be functional, but is it optimal? And I think that that's something that I really have strived in my life is that I want to be optimal in my life. So I mean, again, I can be of a better service in this world too, to myself, to others. The world's happier when I am too. And I think that there's a big thing right now of people, it's like, well, that feels selfish if I take the time to, really know who I am and do things for myself. And I think it's the most selfless thing you can do. And I think we're seeing that more today. That again, when you are in alignment to you, like a car, you need to go get, checked out. And then that squeaky wheel now is better. It's driving more smoothly. And people like to be in that car much more than the other one. And so it's just in our company, it's really, it starts in the mind. Do you enjoy the company in your mind? Because you can go on the trip, you can buy a new house, you can, but you're always going with you. And I think your mind is your biggest asset in life. If you treat your mind like $1 million, like the biggest investment, then what things would you be doing to step into that energy of your own mind?
Do you have like a favorite mindfulness hack?
Ooh, really good question. One of them I know that I think was kind of early on in my journey that I started shifting and just noticed a huge impact. And I'm all about listeners when they're taking their time, their valuable time to listen right now. I'm like, I want to give you the juice. So one of my favorite is to stop saying the word need. It is such a used word. If I need to do this, um, and need, if you think about actually basic needs, right? Food, water, shelter, connection, um, that the mind is looking at as very important. Meaning that if I don't, it's like survival mode, which
Mm,
deeper minds always wanted to survive, and it's doing the best it can to protect you. That's why, again, going back to the whole enemy thing, it's really your biggest protector. It just sometimes doesn't get the memo of what is actually useful in protecting you. And so deeper mind's always looking for threat, aka fear. And fear really deeper of dying. It's kind of like if you do that thing, it might die. I teach somatic dance embodiment as well. And it's funny because when we're like, I don't dance or I wouldn't do that, and it's going, yeah, your deeper mind's going, I might die if I do that because of judgment, right? It really is the deeper of fear. If they judge me, that again, my mind's going, I would die then. And so knowing that you're in your power and it's like, well, we're not going to die, we're okay. And if anything, I can do it or envision myself doing it, and I show my mind I survive.
mm,
So that is also a big tip I would say is that show your mind first. You don't have to even do the thing. Like I'm gonna go scuba diving if that feels too scary. Show the mind reel first that you're scuba diving and that you survive. Flying a plane, right? You're too scared to fly a plane. Show your mind. I'm flying a plane. I land well, right? Show your mind that you survived in your mind first. So that's one hack. And then to the idea of need, replace it with I get to, right? I need to go do the dishes. Well, okay, that's not a threat. And even though you're like, well, whatever, your mind again is seeing that more as important in a threat. So if we can shift it to I get to, or I could, or I can, you will start seeing again your nervous system regulating even more and kind of more again calm from the chaos. I love to get your mind to calm over the chaos, right? To just order over the disorder. And so you're gonna see some profound shifts even in just that one word tweak and the idea of showing your mind that you can survive something when you're feeling a little bit threatened by it.
love it.
There's two.
Yeah, yeah, you over delivered there.
I love to.
Mariel, we've only got a couple of minutes left. So, firstly, I would love for you to tell people how people can get in touch with you, connect with you, um, and see, some of the work that you're doing, like on social media, where maybe they can benefit from an idea or a concept, just like you just shared there about getting rid of the word need, and maybe just intuitively share something that maybe we haven't captured that you feel is really important when it comes to you wanting to really connect with people that you're serving.
Yeah. Oh, such a good question. I even after listening to this, I think so many times we are so inundated with information. I say information equals inflammation. I was someone that always was going to fingers pointing to the moon, I say, and that's one of the things I want really listeners to take away is so many times, right, we go to these things of like, tell me what to do, tell me how to do it. And we're missing the piece because the moon at that, is shown every night to us, right? It's just shining. It's being a moon. It's not even like I'm being a moon. It's just being what it is. And we are here to be the own light and love in the world and to shine bright like a moon in any phase that we're in, any day, any moment, but we still show up. And if again we can just pause and really listen inward, right? And not be going outward all the time. Because even with the work I do, I always say, what makes sense to you? If the work that I do makes sense to you, that's what happened one day for me. I was done being in and out of therapy chairs and going through my trauma over and over again and reliving the past and feeling like it was just a band-aid. And that was my experience. And all I could speak of was my experience. We all can only do that, right? Going, I wanted something more and I prayed, I want something more and different that I'm actually gonna be able to live my life more abundantly. And that's when subconscious reprogramming work came into my world and my whole, again, world has shifted. And so I'm here for people that want to try on something differently. And I also, yeah, if you follow me on Instagram, Mindfulness with Mariel, you'll see I incorporate a lot of it with dance because it gets to be fun and playful too, and therapy can look different for everyone. And what's going to be your again, stepping into your power, play, and presence. What's calling you? What's that inner whisper calling for you to try something different, try something new that's going to bring you more home to you? And I think that that's really what I want to leave listeners with is get quiet to know that. Be the moon, get quiet on what's going to be best for you to digest in your world around you. Again, with the people, places, and things that remind you who you are. Why are acts of kindness so powerful? Because in a moment's time, it reminds you who you are. You are love and light, and it's something that is so small but so profound and big. And the same things of what I offer of these shifts in the mind are so profound and big. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can be simple, and you can be more free and clear because I'm living proof of it. And it's because I listened. I listened to accepting where I am and ready for more. And a big takeaway is I invite people to do a little dance today and dance as if all your prayers are already answered. So maybe it is a more free and clear mind. Maybe it is that thing you've been desiring. So I always say, what is destined for you, what is desired by you is destined for you. And just step into more of that, again, childlike awe and splendor. And I invite, yeah, those that are listening, to on Instagram, Mindfulness with Mariel, send me a DM. I love voice notes. I think it's so powerful to connect, voice to voice. There's such a cool soul connection. I'm all about, souls connecting. And I would love to hear, a takeaway or what you are, wanting to bring in or feel more clear about, or how is the need to get to shift going for you, or the mind not seeing a threat, just going like,
Mm.
oh, I survived that in your mind. What are you working on that you want to get your mind to see is not a threat? Maybe that's a dance class, and maybe that's again scuba diving or flying, or share with me your experience because again, I'm always about what did you take away, right? What did you take inward instead of being outward? What did you take inward for you? And showing up for you is again the best thing you can do.
Amazing. So good to catch up with you, Mariel, and looking forward to seeing you and your journey progress. And thank you for just, yeah, showing all that energy and some really helpful tips as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. It's been a pleasure.